Most people are watching war and assuming the end has already begun. Scripture points to a different signal. Conflict creates the conditions, but it does not initiate the final sequence. One prophecy remains unfulfilled, and when it is confirmed, the entire timeline shifts from preparation into activation. The current global environment is producing a pattern that draws attention in one direction. War around Israel is widening, alliances are adjusting, energy routes are under strain, and economic systems are showing stress. These movements create a sense that something decisive is already underway. The scale feels historic, and the reaction is understandable. But this pattern, as it stands, does not match the specific trigger described in prophecy. The central reference remains Daniel 9:27. The verse does not describe general instability or open conflict. It describes a defined action. He shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. Daniel 9:27. Within that single structure, the entire final sequence is contained, including the midpoint shift, the interruption of sacrifice, and the events that follow. This places the verse in a different category. It is not one event among many. It is the framework that initiates the timeline itself. The focus on the word confirm changes how the situation is evaluated. The text does not indicate the creation of a new agreement from nothing. It points to the strengthening or enforcement of something already present. That detail redirects attention away from sudden escalation and toward existing diplomatic structures that can be formalized, expanded, and made binding at a higher level. This is where the pattern becomes more precise. Instability is not the end point. It is part of the environment that increases demand for resolution. The question is whether current conditions are converging into a structure that allows a broad agreement involving Israel, Jerusalem, and access to sacred space to be finalized. That is the point at which the sequence described in Daniel 9:27 would begin to move forward. The one remaining prophecy. There is a specific detail in the prophetic structure that often goes unnoticed. While attention is drawn to multiple signs across different regions, one element remains distinct in both clarity and function. This verse is not presented as a secondary marker within the sequence. It stands as the final major trigger that has not yet occurred. The verse outlines a complete framework within a single statement. He shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. Daniel 9:27. That single action contains the full structure of what follows. It establishes a defined period, introduces a binding agreement, and sets the conditions for a later disruption at the midpoint. Within the same framework are the cessation of sacrifice, the emergence of desolation, and the progression toward a determined conclusion. This is not a fragmented set of events. It is a compressed timeline embedded in one initiating act. This shifts how the beginning of the tribulation is identified. It does not formally start with widespread instability, even if that instability is significant. Military escalation, economic pressure, and regional tension can all intensify without activating the prophetic countdown.